Call me.
Ooh. Boop, 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 boop.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Richland College. You are listening to KDOX Web Radio, broadcast live from Richland College. We are the voice. Broadcast live from Dallas, Texas. Geez, I've only done this 500 times. We are the voice of Richland College. Views expressed on this show are our own unless otherwise stated and do not reflect the opinion of KDOX Web Radio, Richland College, or Dukada. Well, fellas, here we are again. Back in the studio. No shapeshifters today.
No, but it's okay because Idris Elba's here. That's I. Hello. How are you? Idris Elba.
Oh no.
I wanted to star in the new James Bond movie, but I'm not sure how people feel about it.
Oh no.
Well, I'm glad you're here and we can interview you.
No good.
What? Well, let's do that. Let's go into introductions right quick. Who do we got?
Hello, guys.
Start with you.
Start from this side.
All right. Hello, guys. I'm Neil. And then to my right is...
I'll introduce myself.
It's Halloween, guys. Get
I'm
going.
Scarlett Johansson. I'm Kai. What's up?
Yeah, that's Kai. I'm Mason.
Okay.
Hello.
It's your boy JC.
Welcome.
JC, what's your real name?
Joel
Joel what?
Chitus.
Who?
Better Chitus.
Is that your
Joel
last name or middle
Chorizo.
name?
Joel.
Hey,
I've heard cherries.
I got an announcement
Oh.
to make. Yo.
Not cherries.
Looks like JC voted today. Congratulations, my man.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. It looks like you voted. I was going to vote. I put in a
Nah,
line for
dude.
that.
Okay, this is what happened. Like, I didn't know the precinct was in the athletic center or whatever. It's
The
called.
Guadalupe?
Yeah, I didn't know
Guatemala?
it was
What is it?
there.
Did you say precinct?
Say guacamole.
What's it called?
Yeah, oh, God.
I don't know. I don't know what it's called. My bad. I don't know what it's called. But I walked out in the rain because I thought it wasn't in any of the buildings connected.
Oh, wow.
So I walked out in the rain. I drove around and I found out it was there. And
Tough.
That's
That's tough.
it was raining hard too.
Can't
okay.
be
So that's introductions.
All right.
Professor Manzi, the faculty advisor. It's Halloween. I don't have a costume. I'm telling people I'm going as Marty McFly. Nobody gets it. It's a Davis reference. Whatever. It's fine. All right, guys. So, today's topic is loyalty. Hell of a conversation yesterday, I would say.
Scary topic. It's
Very
good,
scary
too, because it's about
topic.
spooky season, you know? It's spooky season.
Yeah, aren't
Right.
ghosts are just loyal to this life.
That's true.
They don't want to let it go. Right. So we had a lot of different, I guess, angles to take on loyalty. Was there anything in particular that stood out for you guys, like something somebody might have said or a position that maybe wasn't considered that should have
Yeah.
been considered?
Yeah, if I could jump in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for
the
it.
idea that you can be loyal to yourself, almost the idea that you can only ever be loyal to yourself or about what serves you. That was an idea that was brought up that I kept thinking about over and over. I don't know where I'm at on it, but yeah, I think that was a very, very interesting thing to think about and talk about.
I think that something else I kind of took away from it was that I think we also kind of established that in order to have any type of loyalty, period, is like we had to kind of have it like establish an official relationship with that person, or else there couldn't be like a loyalty, I guess, within the relationship realm. Because we also did talk about being loyal to like entities or like
ideas.
maybe like ideas,
Mhm.
right? Or like a religion. So sometimes it's not
Mhm.
always relationship based, but in that realm,
Mm,
you have
yeah.
to have like a pretty firm relationship in
Yeah,
order to have
yeah.
some type of loyalty.
Firm. The thing I took out of the meeting yesterday was that what is it? Like you said, there are some systems, ideals, or anything
Right.
that we put our faith in that we are loyal to, but we don't realize that may not even be in our best interests, and
Right.
that can go against our nature because we know we're about self-preservation, but we don't realize that some of the relationships that we perpetually like try to maintain through loyalty is actually not the best for us at all.
Yeah, sometimes loyalty can work
It
against
can be a
you.
crutch. Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a movie that came out a while back called Rounders. It stars Matt Damon and somebody else. I can't remember the other one. But it's about basically two guys who grew up together as best friends, and one of them kind of became a petty criminal, and the other became an upstanding citizen.
Mm-hmm.
But the one who became the upstanding citizen felt like he had to remain loyal to his friend. And it's a movie about how being loyal to your friend in that way drags you down and could kill you in a certain sense. I think that's an interesting. Hey, come on. I think that's an interesting way to consider loyalty in more concrete terms because
That's true.
you know you could have unfortunate loyalties to things like ideas that are potentially disproven later, or certain codes of conduct that, as it turns out, are rooted in evil or something like that. But I think really, on an everyday basis, the kind of loyalty questions with which we're faced typically have to do with, again, to whom should we remain faithful, or to
Mhm.
whom should
Yeah.
we give ourselves?
Yeah,
to?
yeah, but it's a contingency too. So it
Totally.
it can go to that extreme where it brings you down, but it can also bring the person that which you want
Exactly.
up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're not here to bash out on loyalty. We're not here
No.
to say
Yeah.
it's like a immoral or unnoble attribute to have.
I'm anti-loyalty.
We're just anti-loyalty. But
And I'll never be loyal. Next verse.
I hate you.
Nope.
Dear God,
I'm
I just
Certain virtues to loyalty.
yeah, I
know
just
Chris Brown said.
Oh, so, but that brings up an interesting question. How do you know when to be loyal? Like what
Mhm.
is it that
Um,
conditions your loyalties?
It's a
Mhm.
great
It-
question.
It's almost
Thank
like you have to take the chance because you never can really know. I guess you don't know what the future holds, so you have to take an opportunity to know that it can go bad, but there's also the possibility where the loyalty could be a positive thing.
So, yeah, would you say that all loyalty involves risk?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
There's definitely a risk
Interesting.
factor.
Because
But there's
loyalty,
but
But there's
if
also
any
the other
relationship,
side, yeah.
every
Yeah.
relationship ever requires risk.
because it requires
Not
trust.
even with just exactly. Not even with just people with
People
like
with things,
religions,
everything else.
ideals, systems. Just
System.
it requires a bit of trust, and it can go against you.
That's
but-
true.
You know.
Okay, I think that's absolutely spot on. But I can't help but wonder to whom we must always remain loyal, because it seems like everywhere, every time you make a decision, it's you making the decision.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it seems like first and foremost we need to be loyal to ourselves, but that of
Right.
course implies that we know ourselves.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like maybe we have to recognize values, or just like we have to we have to not really isolate ourselves, but just understand our values, and maybe that who supports it or that which we believe could promote our values, or like I don't know, I guess just support our values. That is probably more that's probably a good nominee to be loyal to, like a person to be loyal to.
I think you're right, and here's what's so funny is that if you ever ask yourself, and I know everybody in this room has, if you ever ask yourself, who am I? Or
Mhm.
usually you're trying to say, what do I think is important and worth pursuing in life?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think our default is to say, well, what have I been loyal to so far? What have I been pursuing? And in a certain sense, your loyalties could potentially even trap you a little bit and say, well, this is what I've been doing. I guess I'll just keep doing it. But then you're not really self-possessed in your beliefs or in your
Mhm.
values. So I think to be loyal to yourself requires that you challenge your very loyalties sometimes
Yes.
Yeah.
by assessing them
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
if they're worthwhile to you.
Mm-hmm. What about questioning? What about we all trying to see who's worthy of being loyal to, but how do we know when we're being unloyal? Like
Oh, that's a good
any
question.
action that we may commit, we may be betraying someone that without being
Knowing
fully aware. We
Yeah.
might be not be fully aware that we're betraying someone else. So we expect loyalty, but we can be unloyal. So in a way, I was starting to think, what if we are just indiscriminately loyal even to our enemies, even to our friends at the same? Like, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to betray friends.
No, I know
But
what you
if
mean.
I am unloyal to those who aren't my friends yet, I push them further into depravity probably, and I don't know.
Yeah, you do them wrong in some way.
You do them wrong,
Yeah.
and they'll never have at that point. It's like the human heart is weak. You get broken up once, love isn't real type
Yeah.
thing. Like that's
Yeah.
so annoying, and it's kind of the same thing. You get betrayed once, it's harder for that person to even think about ever being or having any reason to be loyal to anyone ever again.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot, sadly.
That does happen a lot.
Yeah, I think it all boils down to consideration. Like, you got to be considerate of what
Mhm.
other people value, about how other
course.
people feel,
Mhm.
and I think that's where your loyalty sort of operates,
Yeah.
and what their values are, and what you don't want to hurt them. You essentially don't want to hurt them, and it goes both ways. I
Yeah.
think those are the people you should be loyal to. If, like you mentioned, the movie, you said that the guy became a criminal, the other one was an upstanding citizen.
Mhm.
if the criminal asks the upstanding citizen to do something that he normally wouldn't do, that's that guy being disloyal. He's not being considerate to
Mhm.
his values and,
That's
and,
true.
and
Mm.
his ethical
Mhm.
standards. So I think at
Mhm.
that point, if that person's being disloyal, I don't think you have to be loyal to him. Like
Okay.
at that point, I don't think you should be. You should
Mm.
feel obligated to be loyal to that friend that's not taking in consideration your ethical
Okay.
standards.
Okay.
Is loyalty at that point? You're choosing to be loyal to who you are rather than loyal to like another person, right? That just
Yeah.
goes back to
Okay, so then yeah.
Self-preservation.
So sometimes
Yeah.
we try to we
Yeah.
betray ourselves in trying to be loyal to others. I see
Right.
what you mean.
Yeah, sometimes in order to be loyal to somebody else, you may have to be unloyal to yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, same
Kinda
thing,
like
vice versa. Yeah. Mhm.
Like that experiment they were talking about.
Oh
the
yeah.
Stanford
Star Wars- yeah, the
experiment.
Stanford,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
where they decided that they wouldn't tell on each other and they would both get the same sentence.
Oh, yeah.
rather
Was
than-
that Stanford?
That was
Oh
the
yeah,
other
that
one.
was the,
No,
that was a
another
prisoner's
one.
dilemma.
That was a
Yeah.
prisoner's.
Yeah, that wasn't a.
That was yeah.
Yeah,
that wasn't an
that one.
experiment. That's just a
A thought experiment.
I think- I think that- I think they
It
just-
as an experiment.
Oh,
They
okay.
did, yeah, no, they did actually probably.
I was
They
thinking-
probably did do it. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
They, no, I think they do it. They do that. But in the end, they end up just. I don't think they really keep their promises. I think
But
it's
I
just
mean-
like trying to get them to snitch on the other.
Yeah, they put
Kinda.
people in jail.
Yeah, they don't really keep the promise.
It's a
Hey.
yeah, it's a game.
Uh huh.
Now, when it comes to people and loyalty, I was thinking, how closely related is being loyal to loving someone?
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
I think you necessarily have to love someone
have
to be
coffee?
loyal to them.
Like you don't necessarily have to love them. You say?
No, I think you do
You
have to love someone
them
to be loyal
to be loyal.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
That-
I don't
if
know.
it falls
It's
in-
also fear. It's
it
also
could- yeah,
fe-
it could
it
fall in
can
that
be
gray
fear
area.
or love.
Mm.
Because there's, of course, I don't think every
Right,
slave,
that objection.
worshipped or loved their slave master. I think it was just more like fear for their own lives.
Yeah.
They were afraid of the consequences,
But at that point,
and
is
they
that-
had,
is that loyalty though? At that
At
point, or
s-
is it like?
That was the question we
but
asked
loyalty,
yesterday.
It's like a distorted
okay,
version of it.
maybe in action it is loyalty, but in its intent, like I guess the
And its purity.
and its
or-
purity, yeah, I don't think so,
It's
because the
not,
emotion
no,
that's
no,
driving
it's-
it, the emotion is no longer loyalty. It's just self-preservation. But the action is the one that's being displayed, that's being manifested, is loyalty.
I
Like
think
you have to,
loyalty is more of a feeling you have, and I think it.
yeah.
what
Then you
they
have
were
to defer
feeling-
it from a feeling to an action. Yeah.
I think what they were feeling. I think they didn't have an option, so I don't even think that's loyalty at that point for the slaves. Well, for that example.
I mean, it's like it's like they had an option, but it was just a bad option. It's like they die or they perish or they can or
I
they
don't
had.
consider that.
No,
Yeah,
I think
it's not an option, that's true.
I
It's not
think
a
Bad
very-
option.
It's a bad one, yeah.
I think how would I say
One
this?
kind of drives you to do that, or it's kind of like. But I mean, you think about it too. Is just like how I mean, going off a different tangent here is like when when Hitler had all of Germany.
Mhm.
They were loyal to him, but like not in the sense like they didn't love him, but they knew, but they
They loved
understood.
him.
But
Some of them did.
I mean, some
Oh,
of them
well,
didn't. Some of them
yeah.
didn't. But like a lot of them were loyal to him just because of the fact that they knew who he was. Like
What he could do?
what he could do. Like
Sure.
Gestapo.
Sure.
Who's that?
yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like it was almost forced upon them.
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of like through fear. I mean, it wasn't maybe like a real loyalty, but,
Coercive loyalty.
but it was like
It's-
coercive loyalty. Yeah.
So if I had to change how I said that, then you have to either love someone or yourself, essentially, right? So it does go back to self-preservation.
Yeah,
if you're going to
yeah.
be loyal to something, I think love in some way has to be involved.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
intertwined,
yeah,
but not
if it's-
maybe it's like you love yourself. Like you're like, well, I love myself. I'd rather
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
abide by these laws than perish. So I love myself enough in order to.
Right.
I guess you're being loyal to yourself, but doing it just because you want to
Yeah.
survive.
Or even on the flip side, if you didn't abide by those laws because you found them immoral or whatever,
Right, exactly.
you're being loyal to who you are. You're being loyal to your
Exactly,
principles, right?
that's
You're
true.
being loyal and because you love those principles,
Yeah.
or
and you're
however
willing to
love
die
relates
for
there.
it. It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
I get
If
that.
Well,
you're
what
willing to
about-
die for something, you have to
Okay,
love
is that
yourself
why?
then.
Is that what you meant by yesterday, Manzi? By saying loyalty perhaps is natural, not in the sense for someone else, but just for your own core beliefs.
Yeah.
You stick to it because you are
Yeah.
loyal to yourself. You can you're inevitably loyal to yourself
Exactly.
unless coerced otherwise by some of the
I
force.
think so. I mean, I was throwing that out there. I'm not exactly sure if that's really
Right.
how it is, but it does seem to me that on real levels, you cannot go through life on the one hand without being loyal to what you think is going to be beneficial to yourself,
Yes.
but also to others. No, but I want to throw something else y'all's way.
Okay.
What's up, Julio?
Hey Julio,
What's going on?
Hello, man named Julio.
you did that lab report? Yeah, neither did I.
Did that lab report?
Neither did I, man.
Atta boy.
He's got more important things to do, like be here.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Well, let's talk about a law-abiding citizen. So
Sure.
if you're a law-abiding citizen,
Loser.
then you are loyal. You're loyal to the law. Do you love the law? Do you love to be loyal to speed limits?
No, well,
It depends on why you're loyal to the law, though, Mancy. That's my entire point. Are
And
you
so-
loyal to it
to not go be thrown in
because you
jail.
love the law, or are you loyal to it because it benefits you in some way, which then means you love
Why
yourself?
There's
does
a
it have to- why does
consequence
it have
if
to
you
be-
are not loyal to the law.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a
It's-
consequence.
Well, that could be the
Ergo
fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, why can't it be both? Why can't it be like,
Well,
I'm
there-
loyal to the law because I
there-
don't want to get a
there are-
fine?
There are some laws where it's
Yes.
like people will, I guess, will be intuitive. Like they know that if they don't abide by these certain laws, it's not that they are disappointing, the force above them, like the government, or maybe it's not even like they'll go to jail. It's just they understand that it's not beneficial for them at all. So in that way,
Yeah.
they love that law because it helps with their life. It secures their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I
okay, that
mean,
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there are certain laws, like don't steal.
But I
Don't-
feel like
Go ahead.
it doesn't. I guess the loyalty doesn't have to be like necessarily be intertwined with that emotion. Like you could just be loyal.
I mean,
like you could be loyal, I guess,
Sure.
for any reason. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Like
I want to go back to the law part. I mean, you
Yeah.
could break laws and get away with it. So you don't have loyalty to the law.
Wait, you could do that?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
do that. I've done that yesterday.
So like
Ooh.
I think
Yeah,
another
I
I
reason
do not
why
recommend doing that.
I think another reason why people are law abiding,
I plead the fifth.
I stole
it's
a
not
fence lesson.
necessarily because it's not necessarily because of fear. I think fear is a factor in it.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
it's
A
because
fear
it's
factor.
Hey!
Go ahead.
Wow, wow, wow,
The
wow.
phones are lighting up.
The phones are lighting up, folks.
Go ahead, Joel. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's not just out of fear is a factor, fear factor, but I think it's also because it's the social norm. I think it's socially
True. So people
acceptable
get-
Yeah.
to be
people
a good
get-
person.
That's
and if,
true.
And if you are proud of stealing, if you're proud of cheating, I think people will dislike you for that.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think
So
that's another motivator.
that's
factor.
true. It could be like a social trend that you get swiped up in.
Yeah,
if people are if the majority of people are doing probably virtuous or good deeds, I'll say that because there's
Yeah.
I guess there's no absolute good, but I don't know. But
Now
they're
the phones
doing-
are lighting up.
I know, but there's people are doing the majority of what they think is good, and then there's the social outcasts. They will probably be discouraged to continue their way of life because they don't want to be outcasted. Of course, nobody being social creatures, nobody wants to be away from where everybody else is. So they understand that probably the reason why they are in their current position in life is because of the way they're living, and then they're gonna change that. Probably, and they're going to get swept up in this norm, the doing good, being loyal, being loving, whatever, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they don't though.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't. That's just being loyal to themselves. That's what I mean. Like, but sometimes being loyal to yourself, you like the values that you, I don't know. I guess adopt the principles that you adopt. That can be just they come out of the condition of your life. So all the experiences that you went through, it gives you certain values, And if those values aren't aligned with, most people's values, then yeah, I mean, if you stay loyal to that, then yeah, I guess you would be a social outcast intentionally.
And yeah, I think that was really well said. What's so interesting is that sometimes there will be a lot of different social outcasts. So then you have something like honor among thieves or loyalty among thieves, which is bizarre, but it's still loyalty. Yeah, thanks for coming, Mason.
Thanks, Mason. Sorry, you got to go to class, right? Sorry, man.
Have a good class. That's classified.
Jesus.
I guess another thing that I was also kind of thinking is that it's almost like, well, not necessarily, but it seems as if you're loyal to one thing, it's almost like you have to, you don't have to be, but a lot of the times you're betraying something else. If you're,
Yeah.
you're loyal to one thing,
Yeah.
and it seems that way, like with a lot of things.
That's what I want to talk. Yeah,
Mhm.
and when I said yesterday, appraising your loyalties.
Mhm.
That's what I mean. It's you can't be loyal to everybody at once. There is actually an old saying that says a man can't serve two masters.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be
It's
figurative
true.
in the sense that
Well, that's very biblical of you.
you can't. Yeah, thank you. You can't. Is that a compliment or an insult?
That was a statement. That was a
That's a
statement.
descriptive fact.
I know, right?
I think that I think that there is really truth in that because
Yeah.
on the one hand, you do have different loyalties. You're loyal to your family. You're loyal to your friends. You're loyal to your job. You're loyal to a number of different. Maybe you're a fan of a sports team or a musician. You're loyal to that. But appraising just means how do you rank your loyalties? And when you really get down to, the things to which you're most loyal, you're loyal at the cost of not pursuing other things or not holding other positions. I think of something like loyalty. I think that loyalty has to be chosen. And we talked about counterfeit loyalty in Philosophy Club. We talked about, again, the kind of loyalty that's coerced just now. I don't think any of that is real loyalty.
Right. It's not like
Yeah.
peers form.
It's not. It's not voluntary.
Yeah.
Because involuntary loyalty. You're right.
But then you have to be loyal to some things, even if you don't
Right.
like it. Like your body, you have to be loyal to feeding yourself.
No, but you like that. What are you talking about?
I do like
you
that.
like not you. Everybody.
No, but
nobody.
I mean-
Nobody.
I like
unless-
eating.
Nobody without religious sentiment likes to starve themselves, or maybe
Gandhi.
just
Hunger
insecure.
strike.
That was.
Hunger strike.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that not religious sentiment?
I think it is religious sentiment. I think that's true. I think
That was religious sentiment, or maybe just out of insecurity. I know how people are like,
boycotting of some sort.
Yeah, the Gandhi thing was like political as well.
true.
But yeah, no, I think you make a good point too. It's
Yeah,
it's
it is.
even that isn't really loyalty. The loyalty to your hunger or whatever the case
Mhm.
is.
That's a discipline at that point.
Yeah,
Some
pretty-
disciplines may ask you to. I was gonna get into that. How some disciplines or some virtues may be against what you naturally need, naturally want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's probably why it's a virtue and to begin with, because it's hard. It's a struggle to
That's
attain.
true.
You know what I mean?
I think that's absolutely true.
I say we talk about
It's not
what-
easy. It's not
what
natural.
loyalties are good and what loyalties are bad. Like,
Okay.
'cause there's
Okay,
different
that's good.
types of
Yeah,
loyalty.
That's
different
good.
types of-
That's
I
good.
think loyalty boils down to, like we've gone back to it. It boils down to sort of, in a sense, we're still serving ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think we should talk about which ones are bad, which ones are good. Like national like loyalty to your country.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one, because
Loyalty
that's actually
to,
applicable. Applicable. Thank you, guys. Take three. Take three.
Cut that
You can take that back, right? Okay.
Yeah, edit that out.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be a fruitful endeavor there. I mean, because again, it's easy to say, well, I'm loyal to my country and I'm loyal to my family. But what if you have to choose between one and the other?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to?
Right.
What if you have to choose between, I don't know, smuggling a family member out of the country or into the country versus being loyal to your country? How do you, what comes first? Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Does that kind of fall in the coercive? Maybe because you're forced to make a choice. I guess?
Oh, that's interesting. And then you can
So
kind of
if it-
blame the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
because if you weren't in that circumstance, then you
Well-
wouldn't do that, or I guess you wouldn't have to.
But oftentimes we find ourselves in circumstances.
Right. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So yeah.
Most times
Yeah.
they're not. More times than not.
It probably relinquishes responsibility if we keep on blaming the circumstance.
I think you're right. And it goes back to what you're saying about the struggle. It's hard.
Yeah, it's
That's
hard.
why it's a virtue.
Uh huh.
That's why you have to prove loyalty.
Uh-huh.
Let me. Yeah, that's another. Hey, come on in.
Hi.
Hey, Philosophy Club Radio Hour. Professor Erica Edwards, welcome.
Hi. Welcome. Would you like to participate?
Yeah, we're talking. The topic is loyalty for Philosophy Club. Oh, awesome. Hey, how's it
Right.
going?
We're talking about how unfaithfulness is actually a noble attribute to have. Being unfaithful to everything. Your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever.
He wasn't.
No
around.
faith.
No faith. You know what I'm talking about. No faith.
Faithless.
Faithless.
Guys, everybody is here for the Philosophy Club Radio Hour. Isn't this fantastic?
Oh.
Yes, welcome.
We have fans. We have viewers. Hold on. We have viewers.
We do now.
We
Just
do
reach
now.
out
Can all you guys pull this up on YouTube right now? and
Yeah,
like
I know.
that?
Like and
For
subscribe,
the-
please.
for the
Like and
extra
subscribe.
credit.
Like and subscribe. We'll promise you a free donut or something.
Is every?
Or something.
I wonder. Is
High fives.
High
anybody high fives. Is anybody entitled to your loyalty, or is
No.
loyalty always up to you?
It's always kind of earned,
Oh,
I think.
it's
It's
no,
loyalty
but
is
when
something
it's
that's
but if it's
kinda-
earned, no one. If everybody believes it's earned, then it's never given. You know
Oh,
what
that's
I mean?
interesting. Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's like
maybe it is.
I think it should be given. I mean, because this you yourself. Oftentimes people find that in giving they receive. But if they take, they're more liable to lose
So
what
you-
they have.
So you do feel entitled to people's loyalty, like you think that you deserve it off the bat.
No, I believe I don't. No, I don't feel entitled to loyalty. I feel they are entitled to have my loyalty. They're not
Okay.
entitled to be loyal to me. Because if I think that's what I'm saying. Like I give loyalty, maybe it's not that I expect loyalty back,
I see.
but it's that in most cases, if I continue it, it's a consequence. Like they will be loyal to me. It's hard for someone to not be loyal to you after everything you've done for them.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I think that's That's a
Kinda
really
sets you up
Sure,
for
sure.
it,
I mean, you're gonna say, but how many times did you give?
No, I
How many
agree,
times
I
did someone
agree.
betray you? Not you. What's your name, by the way?
Oh,
Mimi.
Mimi? Oh, hi, I'm Kai. I call my mother Mimi, you know?
Oh, we did this last time. You
Oh,
know
we
that?
did, yeah.
I think y'all did.
Oh, we did? This is
Yeah,
very
we
awkward.
did.
We're on
Yes,
reruns.
This isn't.
we did.
Take 5.
Except last time I think it was your grandmother.
What?
Oh.
I think you said you call your grandmother Mimi.
Oh,
she's got a good memory.
I call
A
my
good
grandmother
memory.
once a month.
Oh,
My grandma once a month. Jeez, that's more than I do. Anyways, yeah. So look, Kai, I totally agree. I think that's probably the, and I don't want to say best, but I think it's the most mature way of approaching people is to
Mhm.
understand that you feel like they are entitled to your loyalty, but you don't expect it in return because that'd be presumptuous. But at the same time, it's also like, as you were just concluding by saying, at the end of the day, though, you're going to do so much for somebody that at a certain point you expect it to be reciprocated.
You do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mimi.
speak.
so I just feel like everybody has their own motive. So you can be continuously good to someone, and that does not ever mean that they're going to reciprocate that. It doesn't ever mean that they're going to do as much as you did for them.
No.
Being loyal to someone doesn't mean they're going to be loyal to you. So continuously doing this in hopes that they will return that, you might just be playing yourself, you know?
You might.
So
It's almost like you're being disloyal to yourself in a sense. Like it could be, I guess.
You're right.
Yeah.
But by being disloyal to begin with, I'm further from being secure in loyalty. Like if I never show loyalty, then we're all gonna suffer. Well, I'm putting myself in more risk.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Not never necessarily, but just like to where I guess like to where people just won't be automatically entitled, because it is kind of like what Professor Manzi was saying. Is just you kind of have to like assess the loyalties, and assess who you have to be.
That's true.
it's
kinda
about
loyal
what's
to.
important to you.
Okay,
I
so,
personally,
Like with your values, have to be kind of matched
Okay.
with your values.
yeah,
I see.
I personally feel like we all should like feel entitled to loyalty. Like we should feel that we're entitled to loyalty, and
Mhm.
people should feel the same. And if everyone thinks that way, I think everyone will be more loyal to each other. If everyone felt that we weren't entitled to people's loyalty, and that
Mhm.
you're not entitled to my loyalty, then people would just be loyal to themselves. I think we do have to think that we're entitled to people's loyalty. I think if everyone thought that, we would be more loyal to each other, and there'll be less, I guess, disloyalty.
Yeah. I think Malcolm X is reincarnate. I mean, Uche. I think if
Malcolm X.
I think I think listen. I think if Uche was here, he would start talking about
Wouldn't be loyal
I
to anybody.
I think not just that. I think no. He believes in loyalty. I'm just saying
Recording it?
I think this is something to consider. I'm trying to put myself, trying to say some things that I think he would say. And
Right.
it is worth mentioning how, like you guys have been discussing, you guys have just been going around it, how loyalty is never shown unless there is a personal reward. You know what I
Like
mean?
a self-preservation type.
Not just self-preservation, but there's a reward in the process. Like, I'm loyal to this person because they make me feel this way, and it's a good feeling, So it's not necessarily just helping you survive. It's just the quality of your life is probably enhanced just by being loyal to that person. I'm loyal to this, and he's funny, so I get more laughs.
Like
I
a
get to have-
transaction.
it's a transaction.
Yeah.
That's what was mentioned last time. Exactly.
Mm.
So there's something
That's
in it
interesting.
for you. And saying that, and someone mentioned that there is no loyalty in how we would think pure altruism, pure selflessness. It's never in being loyal as as loyal as you think you are. There isn't an instance where you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
So I just want. I
Like
mean,
when
I don't
you're
know if
not
I agree
thinking
with
about
that.
it.
I just want to mention. I think
It-
that's something to argue about, to talk about.
Yeah,
of course.
great.
Because there was that one instance. What is that guy's name in your class? He mentioned about
Oh,
that.
Daniel.
Was it Daniel?
Daniel Camacho?
No, not who mentioned that, but no, I know him. But the other guy that was talking about the two prisoners. That's not the two prisoners, but the two suspects being questioned, and how they
Right.
didn't rat each other out, even though it would be in their best interest.
It was like ineffective. or
Trace,
something
yeah.
like
Trace is his name.
Trace Miller. Yeah.
Trace Miller. I think that really started making me think. So at
Yeah,
that point, that
sometimes,
had
yeah.
nothing to do. That you have to negate
Right,
that
mhm.
all loyalty is not all
Not
loyalty is
yeah.
that not all loyalty is for yourself.
Yeah,
See what I
sometimes
mean?
it's selfless. It is.
Sometimes
in
it
its
is
purest form, like,
selfless, and I think that
yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost like detrimental to yourself. to
It was-
not-
yeah, in that instance, it was detrimental
Yeah, it was
to yourself.
detrimental to not telling the other person.
yes.
But you decide to go with the one that actually
Mhm.
harms you.
Why? Yeah, that's just like why.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
why?
loyalty. Yeah.
and I think, but I wonder if we still can't tie it back to Malcolm X's point there, that even then, maybe you're not ratting the other person out, and that you're willing to do your time is less of a sacrifice than having to live with the guilt of
Oh,
ratting
so
somebody
you
out.
don't want to feel guilty for the rest of your life? Okay,
Possibly,
wow.
or get the reputation of being a bad friend or a bad,
But at the end of the
Who's
day,
gonna who's
but
gonna
I
who's
just
find
feel-
out?
But I feel like in all those instances, like if they would really like ask him, I guess like maybe that is true what you're saying, but I don't know. I guess it is a good point to say, like, because they're not thinking of themselves maybe physically, but they're thinking of themselves like ideologically, like in their like psyche, they're thinking, well, if I don't,
Yeah.
if I do this, then these are to be the consequences. Like, in
How
my
can
own
I live with
personal
myself?
How can I
Yeah.
live with myself?
Yeah.
So maybe it is in a way still coming back to thinking of selfishness.
It's tough.
Did
I don't
you guys-
necessarily think that, but that's
But
something
yeah,
to
it is.
consider.
It is.
But
a
that's
good-
that.
yeah,
Playing
you
devil's
can-
advocate,
you
yeah.
could
say that, yeah.
You could say that. That's
Mhm.
true.
Did you guys define loyalty? Just what's your definition of loyalty, if I may ask?
Oof.
That's the very.
Can we get her out of here?
I think like we just kind of said, there's like a lot of different scenarios. There's like
We're trying. Yeah, I guess we would try to come up with a definition based off of these different
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yeah.
What do they have in common? And then the least common denominator can at least be the definition.
I think
But
the
I don't know.
transaction.
Is there
The
different kinds of
transaction.
loyalty? And if there are different kinds of loyalty, what are they?
There's loyalty out of love, loyalty out of fear,
yeah,
and maybe
like a
there's-
gray area, like a median.
I guess there's a gray area for sure,
Yeah.
and I guess there's the
that's like kind of like the
transactional.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
kind of the transactional. I guess is the gray area where it's like you're loyal to something and you get something back in return, whether it be
Mhm.
That's Google.
like
So it's good for you,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
enjoy it all the
Yeah.
while,
Yeah, and that's
and it keeps you from being at harm. Okay,
sometimes it compels you to be in harm's way.
that's
Yeah,
true.
that-
So
That's
being
true.
loyal to your country means being on the front lines.
Being on the front lines. Mhm.
And
That's what I also wanted to talk about. I want to talk
Yeah.
about loyalty. How Joel was going somewhere with that, the whole nationalism thing. How
loyal
do
to the
we
country
can put this
or-
all ideas out in the head, out in the wind in the universe. But I mean, how can we put it back? How can we apply it to our lives?
yeah.
Do we not understand that we are being loyal to certain institutions that are not the best for us?
There we go. That's where the rubber hits the concrete.
Anarchism.
Yeah, or again, I think
you don't need to cover me that.
okay, you can put it in terms of even say going back to Rounders before we maybe get a bit more political.
Mhm.
Right.
What if? I'll put it another way for you. Scrap the whole thing and make it more contextualized for our lives.
Okay,
Because we're not gambling kingpins like that. Right?
got you.
So what if you have to decide between, I don't know, helping out your significant other with a problem he or she is having and getting your essay turned in on time? I mean, do you say, listen, I care about you, I love you, I do, but I really got to do this? Or do you say, look, I know the assignment's important, but this is more important. And so maybe you do that, the second part, and you say, you know what, I'll put you first and the assignment second, and then you get hit with like a C or something like that, but
Mhm.
you helped out your significant other. And then in you come to notice a pattern that every time you have to not pay any attention to that person and focus on your own stuff, suddenly there's a problem. And you begin to realize, okay, well, perhaps what's happening here is that she or he is in competition with my loyalties.
Mm.
And then you have to begin to ask yourself, well, why remain loyal to this person? Or say to yourself, if I do want to remain loyal to this person, I have to understand that I have to make changes in my life.
It's
Mhm.
that back to that kind
Love.
of that metaphor or that I don't
Goes
know,
back
if
to
it was
love.
analogy or whatever it was. We were talking about the puzzle.
Oh yeah,
that was a
that
good one.
puzzle.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
good. That's
So, like,
Daniel was his name.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like
That was a
yeah,
good
he
one.
was talking about how I don't know, were you were in, oh yeah, you weren't in class last time, but they were talking about like how you have a puzzle and they
Club,
said
not
that-
class.
Club.
True
We're in
club.
But I mean, it was a classroom, so we were.
That's fair.
Facts. That's
fair.
fair.
Yeah, we're always in class.
Ouch.
So we were talking about how like there's a puzzle, right? And they said that if you're if you're loyal to the wrong person, then you'll have to move all the things, you'll have to move your entire puzzle piece around. But if you just find the right person, then they'll just fit right in your puzzle. So they said that if you're, loyal to the wrong person,
You have
mess
to
up
break
your-
away the puzzle
yeah.
pieces that you already put together in order to fit them in. So you sacrifice
Exactly.
all these pieces that you already
For
put
that
together
one
for that
piece.
one piece that's not even fit. That doesn't
may
even
not
fit.
even work or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So that's it.
And so, why do people do that? It seems like, and again, it goes back to this point about needs.
There's a
Mhm.
hierarchy, I think.
Needs
a
of
level
hierarchy,
yeah.
Maslow's needs of hierarchy.
Whatever, like there's a
Oh,
level
yeah.
of importance, even with loyalty. So if school is above your girlfriend, poor girlfriend, whatever.
Poor
and she-
girlfriend. Dang.
I mean, also if she's
Poor
the right
school.
person,
Or
everybody. I mean, also if she's the right girl for you, then she'll understand that,
That's
like,
true.
understand the importance
Yes,
of
yeah.
school,
That's true.
and that is her being loyal to you. So she wouldn't put you in that position
yeah.
to have to make a choice between
test your loyalties.
this
yeah.
or that. So I mean, if you're
test
loyal to the right
Ultimatums,
people,
yeah.
Ultimatums,
he
yeah,
said,
it's
Mhm.
loyalty.
yeah.
That's what I do. Honestly, I mean,
You give ultimatums?
No. I break up with anybody who gives me an ultimatum because I'm just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
What do
you
you
should
do?
have
Yeah, that's not okay. Yeah.
That's not
too,
okay.
That's not okay.
Yeah, I just don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's a sign of manipulation to me.
High
It is,
key.
and it's not healthy.
Yeah, and so they can play on your loyalty and say, "Hey, I thought you're going to be
thought you
loyal
were
to
Yeah,
me."
and my
Yeah.
faith.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's and so
Wow.
how do you
That's crazy.
make sure you don't fall into those kinds of traps?
You can't.
Yeah, I think you're right.
can't.
Put yourself out there.
There's certain
You suffer the
exceptions, though.
consequences.
Yeah.
If you're living life,
Unless you have like a how do I say this? Maybe like a boyfriend or a girlfriend application form, you know. You gotta be like this, you gotta be like this.
everyone.
Anybody was like, "Oh, so you are?"
to be my
You're
friend or
hired.
anything, yeah.
Well,
You
we
know,
do
you-
have we do have relationship contracts. They're
Yeah.
called marriages.
True. After experimentation through dating,
Very true.
or in this culture, anyways.
So I think that's right, because at the end of the day, I think we're most loyal to those things that we identify as needs.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah.
And so, some people will say, obviously, going back to Maslow, you need to eat, he needs shelter and security and sleep and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But then different people will decide what they need for their lives based upon what it is that provides meaning in their life. So some people will say, I need a significant other.
Mhm.
And that they feel like they need it so much, they will be so loyal to that need that they'll sacrifice, they'll switch up the puzzle.
Yeah.
Other people might say, I
Yeah.
don't need that as much, so I'm not going to be as loyal to it. But I think
Mhm.
there's a difference between needs and desires. I think
Right.
when you feel like you need something, there's a desperation to it. There's an
Mhm.
urgency to
Yes.
it, and there's
Life or death.
there's almost a panic to it. And so
Mhm.
if something were to leave, you would certainly feel as though you need to do everything you can to replace it or find a way to compensate for it. Whereas
Right.
desires, again, because they're not needs, they're not necessities.
Mhm.
So they're more freely chosen.
Mhm.
So your loyalties, I think, are more pure that way. Because it's easy to say, no, the pure loyalties are the ones that everybody shares, but I don't think so. I think
That's
the
true.
loyalties that are of an essence who you are the ones that you choose.
That's
Yeah,
true.
The ones you put your
I like
values
that.
in.
I like that.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I think you're right, Kai. You just have to put yourself out there. I think you spoke of social affinity yesterday.
Yeah.
I think you hit the
One
nail
of
on the
the-
head.
Yeah.
That's where loyalty comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you feel
You
an
realize
affinity.
not only that, it's not even just like maybe you want to join others, it's just you realize that you cannot make it on your own. You know, it's kind of that thing. Like
Yeah.
it starts off being a
Wanna
baby.
move.
You have a dependency. You know, you can't live in this world by yourself. Something
Yeah.
has to assist you. You know,
Yeah.
and that which consistently met your needs when you were a baby, you grow an attachment to that, a loyalty to that. You know, and of course, over the years, maybe you can become. They can disappoint you. They can betray you. But even then, like once it's embedded in you with that person, that attachment, that loyalty is embedded within you for that other person, it's going to be a little hard for
Definitely.
you to cut that string out.
Maybe even impossible.
Almost, yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah.
And you
so-
end up doing things against your own best interest for that loyalty.
Yeah, when loyalty becomes an obligation alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are some loyalties that are so ingrained in who we are that we don't notice them.
You don't.
They're blind spots almost.
They are. I understand that.
And you know what helps you avoid blind spots, cognitive dissonance, is philosophy in the Philosophy Club. You guys can join the conversation if you like. We got a couple open microphones.
I got loyalty.
You want to talk about loyalty? Do you have any thoughts on loyalty? A resounding silence.
Crickets.
A profound silence.
A pregnant pause.
Dum dum dum.
Pregnant pause.
About to give birth to a beautiful idea.
Oh my goodness.
I've never heard
That's
that
all,
saying.
folks.
So this is the Philosophy Club. We meet every Tuesday from 2 to 3 over there in EO 32.
He asked what kind of loyalty we're talking about.
Oh, I thought he said, what are you? What are you talking
No,
about?
what kind of
Well, that's just it. Is we're trying to
As a whole.
determine different kinds of loyalties, and if there are certain counterfeit loyalties, and also the origin of loyalty. Maybe work at a definition that is a bit more robust, that goes beyond merely the sort of Webster's dictionary version.
Don't you eventually get old enough to realize your only loyalty should be to yourself? At some point.
Speaking to the mic, please.
Talk. Come here, sir.
At the end of the day, that other person.
Dear child, the computer, nobody can hear you but us. You must come here. Come
hither, grab a
hither.
seat.
Come hither.
Come on,
Dear
say it to the
child,
mic.
come hither. Hey, what's your name?
Ladies and gentlemen, Uche.
Oh, God.
Hey, what's your name, man?
I'm Andre.
Andre, nice to
Andre.
meet you. I'm Kai.
Sir,
Neil.
first year
Nice to
student
meet you,
at
Andre.
Richland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, first year
Congratulations,
student.
congratulations, man.
I know, I'm excited.
All right, man. Speak
So-
on the
So
mic.
he was starting to get profound. I'm gonna let him
Yeah.
take the floor. Go
All
ahead,
right, go
boss.
ahead.
So I asked specifically about the concept of loyalty, and you're just all you asked. You said specifically.
Eat that mic, yeah.
Sorry, I gotta eat it. I realize. So you repeat what you said. You said
So
just
different
any
kinds
concept.
of loyalty. And,
Different.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think eventually, don't we all get to a point where we realize that loyalty should just be to ourselves? If your parent, if philosophically, like I feel like you don't owe it, you don't choose this life. Your
Mhm.
parents can make whatever decision to have you, and
Okay.
because of that result, and you having no choice for that,
Okay, you're scaring me.
your only loyalty should be to what you can control, and that's just your life.
Interesting.
You're scaring me. No,
That's
I'm
a stoic
joking.
approach.
That is a good approach,
Yeah.
honestly. But I do believe that at some point, if you're loyal to yourself, in the moment, you may not understand the in the long run that it was probably beneficial for you to sacrifice some things so that you may be loyal to others, so that they can secure your life or enhance it in quality later. Like how would I say this?
And we got another
Um,
seat over here, too.
Like,
People. Okay, so people nowadays. No way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was this is crazy. Barack Obama was just visiting our campus, and, we had to run out and see. No, I'm just joking. In fact, it was Slimer running amok, and
Don't
fortunately,
worry.
fortunately, the help is here.
We got him.
Put in Fletcher.
But in all honesty, we believe it to be a prank pull. The facilities department was observing a specific area of the hallway very closely, and that leads us emergency response team members to think it was as such. So to whomever pulled the fire alarm on a rainy Halloween cold day,
Yeah.
well done.
Well, bravo. I mean,
Point well deserved and taken.
wasn't Mischief Night yesterday? Isn't that how it works?
Exactly. So.
Whatever. That's terrible. Yeah, well, at any rate, you're listening. That'll do it, folks. You're listening to KDOX Web Radio, broadcast live from Richland College in Dallas, Texas. We are the voice of Richland College. Views expressed on this show are the Philosophy Club's own, unless otherwise stated, and do not reflect the opinion of KDOX Web Radio, Richland College, or the DCCCD. Happy Halloween. Time to jump on my hoverboard and go rescue Doc in the Wild West. And don't forget to think about it.